Absolutely. Give them some more love and appreciation, please. Can we embrace Temple Hayes one more time, please? You have some very wonderful people here with you tonight. We have Muzi Cindy here with us, all the way from South Africa. We have Bishop Jackson here from South Africa. They flew in to be with you. I need to call out their names because these individuals are the ones who are trumpeting new thought in South Africa, embracing the divine feminine and doing so much powerful work. We have Carlton Pearson over here with us today. So as Kevin reminded us, you're in the right place with the right people. Now look around one more time and you see the shape of spiritual beauty that has shown up here tonight, a kaleidoscope that will not exist quite like this ever again. And just acknowledge it. Just look around, say to the person next to you, my God, God is good in you. Look to the person on the other side and say, there is so much beauty in you. There is so much power in you. There is so much love in you. And you have come to set it free. To make a mighty difference on this planet. And to help change the world for the better. Let's be about this. Give a high five to each other, touch and agree. And get a real sense, as all my colleagues have brought forth, get a real sense that you're beginning to know your origin story. That you are shot from eternity, from the infinite presence of God Almighty, God all beauty, God all joy, God all love, God all intelligence. And this presence birthed itself as you, not out of any sense of loneliness whatsoever, but out of a sense of orgasmic bliss and ecstasy. That you came, your origin is bliss and ecstasy and beauty and love and intelligence, not one whit of loneliness. The presence doesn't have any sense of loneliness. It is alone without being lonely, just as you discover in the sacred silence of your own soul, in your prayer and in your meditation. You may be alone, but you're not lonely. So your origin is bliss. Your origin is ecstasy. Your origin is intelligence. Your origin is beauty. Your origin is abundance. Your origin is divine love. And you took consciously a human incarnation, as Lola reminded us, at this particular time in human history, to allow for your light to so shine before men and women that when they see you, they see your origin. They see what shot you. They see what sent you. They see who you are. And as you came into this incarnation, you bumped into the turbulence of the imprint of history that was going on right here and right now. You were imprinted with the status quo. You were imprinted with historical perspective. You were imprinted with all of the things that are going on in the world at this particular time, and you have learned some way or another to acclimate yourself to that turbulence, to survive it, to adapt to it, and at some point you learn to transmute and transcend it. You're here in this room because of that. You understand the different dimensions of the human walk. There is survival, there's adaptation, there's transformation, and then there's dissolution. So somewhere along the line, you learned to survive the turbulence. You wouldn't be in this room. You learn how to adapt to it. But then somewhere you had an insight. A revelation occurred in your awareness, and you began to work on transformation. You began to shift your perspective. You began to change your conversation, shift your habits, your points of view, your perspective, and you began to transform, go beyond the present formation of your life that was put together by previously held thoughts, beliefs, opinions, and points of view. You began to rise up where there is no divide, where there is no division, there is no separation, there is no otherness, and then that path continues with dissolution. Whenever there's a rising up, Whenever there's an insight and a revelation and a transformation, then the old structures have to die. The old habits have to die. The old paradigm has to die. There is survival, adaptation, transformation, and dissolution, and it is eternal. And when you had that insight, anyone here had an insight? At the moment you had an insight, the eternal became alive in you. You became extemporal. An insight is an event that happens in consciousness where you suddenly or incrementally begin to know something you formerly believed. We don't want a group of believers. A belief is an operational substitute for knowing. It holds your place for a while you're doing practice until you have an aha, an insight. What I formerly believed, I now know. That's transformation. And so at that moment you began to have an insight and you became extemporal, out of time. You remembered your origin. You saw something. You saw the difference between the planet and the world. They are not synonymous. The planet is Mother Earth, Gaia. Mountain ranges, water, rivers, lakes, all manner of rainforests, even though they are diminishing right now as we are speaking. Oceans, Mother Earth is alive, conscious. The vibration of the planet is going higher and higher every single year. And then there is the world. The world is held together synergetically by opinions, points of view, perspectives, beliefs, and that creates a worldview. Two people can be standing on the same spot on the planet, but be in different worlds. And so you began to understand in your spiritual practice that there's a difference between the planet and the world. And you began to be aware, as you have been mentored by these beings here with us tonight, you began to be aware that there's a different world. There's a different world. There's the world that God sees. There's a world of infinite possibility. There's a world of divine potential. There's a world, an ideal world of love and beauty and harmony and compassion and peace and all of these magnificent qualities streaming from the Godhead through us, becoming conscious of themselves as our very life and being. And you're choosing to be here today is to rise in that dynamic frequency and to be in that world. As Jesus reminds us, our kingdom is not of this world. To rise up and to be in that dynamic awareness of your oneness and to bring that into your conversation, your narrative, your action, and everything that you do. In those worlds, in the world in which lack, limitation, separation, not enoughness, that is where the conspiracy of mediocrity lies. It's a conspiracy. People that live in that world, lack, limitation, scarcity, not enoughness, they unconsciously pull you down. They tear you down. They talk about you. They gossip about you. They live in a life of separation and not enoughness, otherness. That's a different world, you see? It's a disease. It's the disease of misperception. It's a disease of not being able to see reality. All human suffering comes from humanity's inability to see the real, to see that which is eternal, to see that which is forever. That is that world, you see? That's a conspiracy for mediocrity. That tears you down. And then there's the world that God sees. The world of abundance and beauty and opulence and love. Here in this world, people build each other up. They love each other. They take care of each other. They support each other. And when something good happens, they celebrate it as if it's happening to them. You see? Under the conspiracy of mediocrity, if something good happens to someone, there is jealousy and envy. And oh my God, something good is happening over there. It might be less for me. You see? And that's the egoic perception of separation. But in the world where your origin is, when something good happens anywhere, it's happening for you. It's happening for you. And so you learn to cheer people on. You celebrate people's good as if it is your own. And then you begin to carry a dynamic spiritual practice, a kind of a romantic, conscious naivete. That's being in integrity with your soul. If you don't have a conscious naivete, then you're subject to resignation, living under the status quo. Nothing can change. Everything is so bad. I can't do anything about it. I'm just going to eke out my little existence in my little paradigm of what I think is going to make me happy and try to be safe until I die. That's resignation. You're not in integrity with your soul there. When you have a conscious naivete, a romantic, heartfelt vision of the possible, and you begin to be pulled by it, it begins to be more real than the chairs you're sitting on. You're no longer confined by the status quo. You have come to bust negative paradigms. You have come to break through the paradigm and the status quo of what appears to be going on and to anchor that on earth as it is in the mind of the infinite. All of this comes with the dynamic spiritual practice of every single day, taking your inner shower so that you don't go out with the emotional and mental stench on a regular basis. You're taking that shower before you walk out the door, so you're aligning yourself with what's possible. You have a conscious naivete of what's possible because all the sludge of the conspiracy of mediocrity is so gross you can see it with your eyes, whereas that which is real, you have to use your spiritual faculty, eyes beyond the eyes, ears beyond the ears, seeing the invisible, hearing the inaudible. You begin to see a world that works for the highest and best within all of us, and you walk in that direction without hesitation. Momentum takes over inertia, and then you're pulled by this vision, and something begins to happen. You begin to find your place where the old is dying and the new is being born. You find your place as a unique, individualized expression of the Most High God, the talents and the gifts and the capacities that are within you. You begin to find your place, and you've got to do you or you won't be done. You have got to do you. If you don't you do you, you won't be done. You can't do what everybody does, but you got something that you got to do. With this conscious naivete, we begin to create a narrative. You heard about the Association for Global New Thought. We have a powerful narrative about what's possible in every sector of life. We have a powerful narrative about how we can get along. I don't even like using that word because personalities can't get along. That's an impossibility. Can't happen. What happens is we are able to transcend the egoic personality structures and begin to see our oneness with each other and begin to play in the field of divine love without trying to get anything from each other, but participating in a higher order of being. And so we're here to shift the narrative. So shifting the narrative is very important. As Reverend Kevin reminded us, our brother Jesse had a noose around his neck in Chicago. And it takes us back to the days in which there was African-American forced immigrant slavery, and then that law was changed and slavery was abolished, but the narrative stayed the same. And then there was a lynching, and then there became an anti-lynching law, and the law was changed, but the narrative didn't change. And then there was segregation, and then that became illegal. The law was changed, but the narrative didn't change. And then there's police brutality. We're starting to look at the police differently to bring them into order. Law being changed. Narrative needs to change. The narrative needs to be everyone is human. There is no racial superiority. Everyone is the very image and likeness of God, you see? And so we are generating a new narrative. Yes, we like the laws. We don't want to be lynched. Yes, we like the laws. We love the laws. We don't want to make America great again by going back to slavery and going back to those old laws. No, we want to make America great period, by going into the world of great possibility. So we like the laws, but we're here to shift the narrative. You have to have a level of some kind of naivete within your soul. It's a romantic vision of the possibility. As you get in your prayer and your meditation, you're visioning all of that, and then you're able to see it. And then you walk with that dynamic. You're walking with the eternal. You're walking with it. And you know that the work that you're doing is not just for you at this particular time in human history. You're shifting a narrative so that as people are born into this dimension, they're imprinted with a higher order of being based on the evolution of our individual and group souls. You're doing that kind of work, you see? This is work of the eternal. It's the eternal wanting to become conscious of itself as your very life. So you got to think the idea, your origin, the eternal. What does that mean? That means presence that is never an absence, that is knowledge itself, it's wisdom itself, it's love itself, it's life. It wants to know itself as me. It already knows itself. But it wants to know itself as me. It wants to know itself as my potential being activated. And it wants to know itself as you. It wants to know itself as we. And we have what is called the image and likeness of God. What does that mean? It doesn't mean you look like God because God is formless. It means that you share the faculty of God. And that faculty is that you can think independent of any circumstance and set a new causation in your life. You can think independent, doesn't mean denial of what's going on, but you can begin to think independent. Something may be going on in your life right now. But right here in this field, you can begin to think of possibility. You can see a new idea. You can catch a new idea. You can see you can begin to think in that realm and then watch as your life begins to take on the frequency and the vibration of the direction of that thought. That's the image and likeness of God. So God wants to know itself as your life. You have the faculty of thinking independent of circumstances, which means you can change anything. Anything. You can change anything. Everything is energy. Coagulated, stuck, slowed down. So you rise in your vibration and frequency. You rise. And then the divide, which is illusional, and in some places delusional, is healed. Oh, there is no separation. That was an illusion. There is no scarcity. And then in the world of abundance, we hear you take abundance from abundance, and abundance still remains. That's from the Bhagavad Gita, which means that no one, every good that happens in the world doesn't deplete anything. It lifts the noosphere to participate in that level of good. We are here, as Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, and then right after that, so many people did it. We're here to break the paradigm of lack, limitation, fear, doubt, worry, hate, homophobia, racism, bigotry, separation. We're here to break that particular line and become stabilized at the next dimension of reality, and then watch as everyone else starts to break the line too. They start to just come through. Oh my God, you've got some answers in you. You've got some power in you. You've got everything in you. The totality of the Spirit is everywhere present. All of the presence is where you are. The presence cannot divide itself into parts. It is everywhere equally being, and it is our responsibility to respond to that. It is our responsibility to allow the totality of that, to be set free through us. And let me just say this, that sometimes you can't handle the truth because your body, temple, mental body, emotional body, the subtle bodies, astral bodies, they're porous. They're not strong enough to hold the frequency. That's why you have to practice. That's why you got to take care of your body temple. That's why you have to be in high and holy communion, company, and high and holy conversations, so that the temple and all of the subtle bodies are strong enough to carry the current of God. If you try to put a 90 watts through a 40-watt wire, it's not going to work. And so And so, if you're asking for all of this good stuff to happen, but you're not vibrationally prepared, oh, that's why you come. That's why you come. That's why you come to the spiritual center on a regular basis. Your mind might say, I know that already. Let me tell you, the worst thing that can stop you from growing is the egoic mind saying, I know that already. I heard that already. That stunts your growth. You enter into the field like a baby every single time. The beginner's mind. You become radically honest with yourself, meaning you're able to tell the difference from what you believe and what you know, and you don't get them mixed up. And you only know what you're demonstrating, you see? And so once you're honest with yourself and say, I believe that, but I don't really know it yet, then you perpetually stay in the unknowing and you grow. You unfold. Oh, one more thing. I don't know how much time I got here, but listen. Listen. With this image and likeness of God, this faculty to think independent of circumstances, there's some stuff going down in your individual life and some stuff going down in the world. If you rail against it, you become vibrationally in alignment with it. You won't be available to what's already here in its totality, waiting for you to vibrationally match it because you're too busy fighting what you don't want. So you take a mental inventory, stop railing, and then you take a mental inventory about the gifts that the present circumstance is giving you. Lola gave us a few. Everybody gave you a few. This is some stuff going down in the world that's making you strong. It's activating latent potential within you. It's birthing compassion and kindness. It's allowing the darkness to be seen so that you can heal it and deal with it. You begin to make a mental inventory of the blessings of your present circumstance, even if you don't like it. Then what happens is resistance dissolves. And that which is trying to happen through you now can, because you're not fighting what you don't want. This is why we are rising and healing, pulled by a magnificent vision, being naive enough to think that we can make a difference. Naive enough to think we can make a difference. You have come to make a difference. You didn't come carrying the entire cosmos, all of it in you, to sit around and be in the status quo. What did you do when you went down there? I just kind of hung out. No, you're not on intermission, you're on a mission. This isn't an intermission. This is a mission from God to make a difference on this planet. Shatter the status quo. Bring about the love and the peace, the harmony, and the abundance, and to such a degree that you glow with it. You glow with it. Inhale right now. Just take an inhale. Release with the sound of ah. Now catch the feeling tone with this powerful community here. Catch the feeling tone that all of your needs are met right now. Think independent of any circumstance you may be going through. You may be broke. But think right now, feel right now that all your needs are met. What does that feel like? Feel that you're totally loved and supported right now. Feel that you have a mission. Now inhale, suspend it at the apex, don't let the air out. And just allow for your nervous system to acclimate to that feeling. It's acclimating to the feeling while you're holding the breath. All needs met, everything working together for your good. You're loved and supported. You matter. You're significant. Release. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Suspend. I evoke the presence and the power and the love of God, all beauty, all mighty, all joy, all abundance. I know that these sweet beings right here are acclimating to another frequency of life. And anything heretofore that would have hindered, denied, or blocked the flow of life is now transmuted into a higher frequency. I see it. Release. And everything is working together for our individual and for our collective good. Let us rise and allow for the delusional divide to disappear in our minds so it disappears in our life experience. Peace and richest blessings. Peace. 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 Peace.